Let's
All
talk about
right.
this for a second. You seem to be on so many dang cars and off-road. How do you manage so many sponsorships? Why is Vision sponsoring off-road?
So I'll start real quick at the beginning. About 8, 9 years ago, Vision Wheel, the owner of the company, Roger Miner, we sort of talked him into allowing us to market the brand because if a lot of people know that we're almost 50 years old, but a lot of people have never heard of us because we made wheels for other logos. You saw our product, you just didn't know it was a Vision wheel, whether it was MB from the Discount Tire Group or we make wheels for Roush, Shelby, Polaris, Can-Am, a lot of the power sports guys. So we decided about 8, 9 years ago, we're going to have to market the brand. The first thing that we did was I got an invite to go on the wide open cars when they were still running up in Reno. And they were sponsored by our competitor at the time. And I got invited through our relationship with BFGoodrich. So we went up there, ran the cars, and I said, hey, to the general manager at the time, Rob, if something happens to the sponsorship of KMC, let us know. My hands up. We'd like to talk to you because we're getting into sponsoring. So that was like the first thing we did was the wide open cars. Then the next thing was we became the official wheel of Score. Funny thing, we didn't have one car in the race that had our logos on it, except for the wide open cars, but that was a spec class. So it wasn't the coolest thing yet. And then our first sponsored driver was Rob McEachran, believe it or not. And
Good pick.
that yeah, well, the cool thing about that is we signed the contract at the Frozen Rush in Maine. So we weren't in the dirt, we weren't in desert, we weren't in Prim, Barstow, Crandon. We were in Maine to sign our first sponsored athlete, which was pretty neat. Then ran back and had to make wheels for him. So that's the start of Vision Wheel sponsorship. So to answer your question, fast forward about 8 or 9 years, what we did as a company is we decided to look at teams that we could help that would help us too, because obviously it's a two-way street. And Heath prior just he answered a lot of the questions, or he gave a lot of the answers for your question. There is how do you do it? You get out there and you look at the teams and you look at the series, and you have to make decisions based on the ROI for the company. Now, the one of the things is when we first started, it was on. I took it over. I wasn't in marketing. I was in sales. We did marketing, but we didn't do any athlete sponsorship. So there was a lot of us going, or a lot of me going around looking at other competitors, what they were doing, sort of mimicking it, just doing it a different color if they were doing it right. Trying to hire those guys. So that's what got us started. Now, fast forward to just this last year at King of Hammers. I was walking around looking at the vehicles and how many people that we have, racing our wheels, how many we sponsored, and then on the other side of it, how many of these guys paid for these wheels? Because obviously we have a really good dealer program, we have a really good racer program that we've introduced the last couple of years, and we're trying to get more people to race on our product. So we give them a good deal if they're not sponsored by someone else. And we can go out there and put our logos on the cars and stuff. So that's what we've been able to do. And I will fully admit we're probably the most aggressive wheel company out there. And a lot of times we have to, explain that look, it's not because we're making an inferior product. We've won a whole bunch of races. We're Pro 2, Pro 4 champs, short course, both series, East Coast, West Coast. And we won at the Mint. We've won in Mexico. We've won all over the place. So we make a really good product. It's just very aggressively priced. So that's been part of the drive to make sure that we have good sponsorship and good value and good visibility. Part of it's racing, but also hits influencers. Both Ruby and Tiffany, I see are on here. They're two of our partners, great people. We try to help out, these guys, these teams, these families. We looking at helping out that we just get a bigger ROI, a better ROI, because you can tell these guys they care about the product too. So that's all part of it. And when we look at who we're sponsoring, obviously being a family-owned company, that really has a lot to do with it also, because we know there's some guys out there that are a little bit risky. Probably can't put those in our family portfolio, but we can go out there and be crazy too.